Yes, sir. No, sir.
And then we'll move on to, well, Vice Chair Hazenkamp is not here yet. We're hoping that he logs in. Member Byrd. Thank you. Member Bauer. Member Krieger. Thank you. Member Herrera. Member Nakasone. Member Schultz. Thank you. Member Snyder.
Helena Snyder, private investigator, Oregon State Bar appointed.
And I believe that is it for committee members. And now for staff introductions, Juan Lopez, DPSST.
Chantal Hawes, DPSST.
Susie Herring, DPSST.
Catherine Calpine, DPSST.
Jennifer Howell, DPSST.
Sam Tang, DPSST.
Back to you, Chair Lanza.
Helena Snyder for the record.
Can I get who the second was? There's multiple, so.
It was
After Brent.
Helena and someone else that made a second. So who was the second motion?
Is that me?
If not, we can just
Okay.
give it to Helena.
Okay. Sorry, it was all at once.
Chair Linzen. Pardon me, Chair Linzen, may I pause the meeting for just one moment? I'm getting information that the audio for those watching on YouTube is not working. Is that something that you can help with?
It says it's working on here, so I'm not sure as to why, because yeah, it's all running the same.
Okay,
Want me to test also?
that would be great, Elena, thank you. And I
Sure.
will email our folks really quick.
I hear audio.
On YouTube?
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh, perfect. Okay.
okay.
Well, then I will go
Just
ahead and
continue.
begin recording.
Oh, Charles can't.
Thank you so much. Please continue.
All right, motion to. Okay, motion to approve October 15th, 2024 and November 19th, 2024 meeting minutes. Chair Lindsay? Member Byrd? Member Berg?
Member Burke, can you still hear us? Yes.
Member Bauer? Member Krager?
If one person in here.
Member Herrera? Member Nakasone? Member Sharance? Member Schultz? And Member Schneider?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Jennifer Howell for the record. So the presentation portion is brief. We wanted to be sure to provide the members of the committee the complete public comment record. So that's what's been published in your packets for today's meeting. With that, you know that we went through the process to complete the fee increases, including the administrative rule change that went into effect on February 1st. So the program is collecting the new fee amounts, and that will remain in place. The final step in the process is part of the legislative process. As part of the budgeting aspect, there's a process where the legislature has to ratify the fee increases. So that will go through this 2025 session. But for the most part, the committee has discussed many of the topics that were outlined within the public comments that were received, as well as the comments that the committee members themselves had identified. So through the past several committee discussions, the information has been reviewed. Thank you.
Oh, you're still muted, Chair Lenzen.
Chair Lenzen, before you get into that, this is Helena Snyder for the record, and I'd like to recuse myself for number 4 and number 5, please.
Chair Lindsay. This is Susie Herring for the record. Would you like me to introduce those 3 applicants? Sure, no problem there. Committee members, you were emailed 3 separate applications, and these 3 separate applications were for members of the Private Investigator Subcommittee. So we have openings currently right now, and we also have, as by default, our members here on this committee also serve on the subcommittee. As mentioned in the last 2 meetings that I had, I expressed that we hadn't had a meeting in quite some time, and so we opened up that recruitment again. I did receive 1 new applicant, and then I had previously received 3 applicants. I reached out to all 3 of those applicants, and 2 were still interested. And so those were the 3 total that you received, Helena being 1. Her current term here with us ends in, let me look here, in July. And so by default, you currently serve on the subcommittee now, and then looking to have her, if approved, moved into one of the vacancies that's there. So that is why we received her application, and we're seeing that today. So it wouldn't be effective until her current term ends here. And then the other 2 that you received were a James Alistair Odd and Cassandra Ruwalt. So the 3 individuals here, I would request that we call a separate vote for approval on each one of those, of adding those members to the private investigator subcommittee. To make a motion and a second, certainly open for comment if needed, and then we can do the roll call on those. For each individual, yes, I would prefer that, so we can record that. Helena Snyder.
All right, so this is a motion for private investigator subcommittee applicant appointment Helena Snyder. Chair Lindsay. Member Byrd.
Member Burke, can you hear us again? Yep. Thank you.
Vice Chair Hasenkamp. Member Bauer. Member Krieger. Member Herrera. Member Nakasone. Member Schrantz. Member Schultz. Motion carried.
Okay, Chair Lindsay. For your second consideration, another applicant, James Alistair Odd.
So this is a motion for private investigator subcommittee applicant appointment James Alistair Odd. Chair Lindsay. Vice Chair Hasenkamp. Member Byrd. Member Byrd. Member Bauer. Member Krieger. Member Herrera. Member Nakasone. Member Nakasone.
You're muted.
Member Schrantz. Member Schultz. Motion carried.
Okay, Chair Lindsay, the last applicant for consideration, Cassandra Ruwalt.
So this is a motion to approve private investigator subcommittee applicant appointment, Cassandra Rolt. Chair Linson. Vice Chair Hasenkamp. Member Berg. Member Bauer. Member Krager. Member Herrera.
Yes.
Member Nakasone.
Yes.
Member Sharantz.
Yes.
Member Schultz.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Chair Linson, this is Susie. I'd be happy to speak to that. So with having the subcommittee set up, it is required to have a chair. And the chair that serves on that subcommittee is one of the private investigator representatives from this policy committee. So today I ask that you guys review the two applicants that we have here on the policy committee and make a nomination so that we can get that the subcommittee moving, please. So your two private investigator representatives on this policy committee are Samantha Sharantz and Helena Snyder. Chair Linson, Samantha has a comment.
All right, so this is a motion to approve private investigator subcommittee chairperson appointment, Helena Snyder. Chair Linson. Vice Chair Hasenkamp. Member Berg. Member Berg. Member Bauer. Member Krager. Member Herrera. Member Nakasone. Member Sharantz. Member Schultz. Motion carried.
Member Bauer, do you have something to say?
Susie Herring for the record. We could send you the bylaws on that, Ben, for sure. Okay. Sure. Susie Herring for the record. I have a few things to share with you. I think some of which you may have seen through some Gov delivery messages that we've sent out. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Keep going.
Okay. Sent Gov delivery messages out regarding how current we are with the applications for all programs. Staff has done a wonderful job. Those of you that have been around have known we've had 3 months, 4 months backlog, and prior to our ice storm, we were current to date. And so staff is working on those as they come in. Yes, thank you for the applause for them. It's well deserved for them. And then, as Ben mentioned, we do have some people that are terming out on the policy committee, and so we are currently recruiting for those positions so that we don't have any extra vacancies. And we do have 2 that are still wide open, which is public member and retail. I also wanted to touch base with you on some of the things that we spoke about in the last couple of meetings. We were talking about entities and the foreign entities, and currently staff is now recording that information, so we would be able to provide that data in the future for the policy committee when asked. Committee members received an email from us regarding the armed conversation that we had a couple meetings back, and there was a survey monkey that was sent out, and Steve is collecting all that data, and we'll come back and have a further conversation once we receive all of that information from the members. And I appreciate those that have already replied thus far. That's very helpful. And there are some things that we're still working towards. We obviously are appointing the subcommittee for the PI and getting that moving, because we had about 4 items there to finish a conversation about. And then as far as the endorsements, that was one point of conversation from a previous meeting as well. I will be working with Jennifer. Her and I have had some conversation, but we are in the middle of session or beginnings of session, and so we will be working towards reviewing the ability to look at that and what our allowances is through the statute and what we're able to do with that or rule. And then you'll also see coming out soon an update on the remote authorization process. Just making that very clear to instructors, students, and frankly staff as well, how we process those remote authorizations and when we're getting PS6s in from remote instructors. And then lastly, we've got Carissa. She's heading, well, Carissa and I most likely heading Friday to the Oregon Festival and Event Association. She will be speaking there for one session, so I don't know if any of you will be attending, but we will see you there if you are. And I will turn it over to Director Castle.
Thank you. Phil Castle for the record. We'll have just a pretty quick update, and then I will turn it over to Kathy. And speaking of Kathy, I do want to announce that Kathy has been appointed as the Deputy Director for DPSST. Our former Deputy Director, Bill Steele, has retired. We'll miss him, and now we have Kathy, and we're very lucky. And She's going to stay with professional standards for a little while until we determine what we're going to do for a new director over professional standards. So that's probably going to take a little bit of time to do. So she's agreed to work with me yet again. We keep getting lucky to keep her. And sorry to have to pull her away from professional standards, but she'll still be here in the division. Like every state agency, we are in the throes of legislative session. It is quite busy for DPSST. We are mentioned in a whole lot of bills out there. Some of them are quite aspirational. So we've been spending plenty of time at the Capitol. We are slated to testify about our financial bill, which is House Bill 5032 on April 21st and 22nd. That will be happening. This will be my first time testifying to our financial bill. It's 2 days, so it sounds riveting. I would invite you all to watch that testimony for sure. We have 2 bills that DPSST brought. Did you already read these? 2 bills that DPSST brought forward to the legislature. They're relatively minor. Both of them fall on the professional standards side. One of them is a technical fix for how we appoint the Fire Policy Committee, a member on the Fire Policy Committee. And the other one is a jurisdictional fix for a non-certified person, and an example of that would be a recruit who does not graduate the academy, so is not certified, but yet may have a moral fitness violation. And what happens currently with DPSST's jurisdiction there is we lose it as soon as they lose their employment. So if someone fails out of the academy in just about any discipline, and the agency chooses to terminate that employee, then DPSST loses jurisdiction in order to adjudicate that potential moral fitness violation. This fix, and it's House Bill 2926, gives us the ability so that we can adjudicate that case, and the employee themselves can request it as well. And what that does is it lets them know right away what the board or policy committee recommends, what the board ultimately decides, so they can start living out that whatever penalty they may face, or maybe a no action. It lets them move on. And right now we have about 158 of those folks in purgatory that we kind of call it, where we're unable to action and resolve. So those 2 have been heard already. They are going to the main floor with due pass recommendations, which is good news for us. But there's lots and lots of session left to go, lots of things out there that we'll be focusing on. Pending your questions, I will turn it over to the Deputy Director.
Thank you, Director. Again, Catherine Calpine for the record. All I'm going to do is just take a pause yet again to go back to that backlog. When I first heard it, I'd only been here a year, so it's like, okay, what does that really mean? How significant? And as Susie mentioned, historically that's never happened, 3 to 4 months. So it is worthy of recognizing her leadership, and then the folks that do this every day, and to know how important it is to try and get that backlog, and the fact that they did that heavy lifting. And we recognize the team appropriately. But just again want to appreciate that. And then again, as Susie laid out, that constant communication with the committee, that you have been heard, your concerns, and how we're processing those through is something that Susie and I both have committed to, and we hope that you see that we are committed, and we're continuing to update you on the progress that we have made and will continue to make. And other than that, that concludes my update.
Which one
I can do this if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Linson. Jennifer Howell for the record. House Bill 2183. It's been introduced and it hasn't been scheduled yet, but it would direct DPSST to adopt rules that if the applicant was a certified police officer, that they'd be able to obtain their certification through refresher courses and examinations instead of taking full training. DPSST. Sure, I was announced that DPSST as a state agency takes no position on bills. So. It is, Chair Linson, Jennifer Howell for the record, House Bill 2551 directs public universities to contact DPSST to receive background information about an applicant who's an applicant for a special campus commissioned special campus security officer. Now those individuals are not subject to the certification requirements for private security providers. This would just be having those employers contact DPSST to obtain background information. I would say really just four, Jennifer, for the record. So it's the two that we mentioned, House Bill 2183, House Bill 2551. There's another concept, it's the same concept in both the Senate and the House regarding the definition of a private security entity. And then there's the agency bill for the fee process. Chair Linson, Jennifer Howell, if I may. Thank you. So as I had stated before, DPSST as a state agency takes no position on bills. That also extends to the board and the board's policy committees. So as a committee, the committee cannot take a position on a bill. So if you do choose to engage in a legislative committee on a bill with testimony or anything like that, please be sure to do so as your individual person or your business person, but not as a representative of the PSIPC. We have to get special approval through the governor's office to make a position that represents the state. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.